What is happening, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we got to mount up the snow plow on the Suzuki Carry Mini Truck. So what we got is a 66-inch plow. I think it's from like a Can-Am UTV, but it should work pretty good on here, and I got the mounting bracket for it. Obviously it's not going to bolt on. We're going to have to make our own mount, and that's what we got to do today. So here's the plow. This is actually kind of a cool plow. It's a lot bigger than your average like razor plow, and you can see it's kind of angled, and it is in pretty decent shape. So there it is, and then there's the bracket I was telling you about. So these pins go through there, through the back, and it pivots on these pins here. So we're gonna have to probably cut this thing apart. I kind of want to reuse at least this front half with the mounts and everything, just so I don't have to remake all that. But we'll probably have to cut this off and get under here. All the steering and everything's kind of in the way, so it might be kind of tricky to build this mount, but we will definitely figure it out. Let's scoot the plow in front of the carry, kind of position it where we want it. I don't want it hanging too far off the front, just because this is a little bit heavier of a plow. It's not super bad. Like, I can lift it pretty easy with one hand on one side, but it is a little bit bigger of a plow, so I don't want it hanging super far off the front. So let's scoot it over and kind of figure out where we need to position these mounting holes here, and we'll get to work mounting it up. All right, we got this thing positioned about where I want it. So like you can see, it's fairly tucked up close. I don't know, probably 6 or 8 inches from the corner to the plow on when it's fully cranked to the side. But I think that looks pretty good. And if you guys are looking at these and noticing, especially that one is not sitting straight, the little slide right there, the brackets are both bent. So I'm gonna have to take those apart and fix that. But either way, that's about right where we want it. So on this thing, we have this main kind of bar, kind of a skid plate bar, tube bar deal. I'm gonna pull that off. I'm going to take my mount, kind of set it up in there, and figure out a game plan for mounting this to the frame. Alright guys, I'm having to use my imagination a little bit on this one. So I got this positioned right about where I want it. You can see the front of this plate is way too long, so I'm going to cut that off right now so I can get this plate up a little higher in the front and get that back kind of leveled out. And then I'm just going to build brackets from right there, the frame, down to the bracket up there. And then I'm going to build a bracket from right here on both sides and run a piece of probably square tube or something across that, weld it right to the plate, and we'll bolt it onto there. Let's pull this plate off, cut this, get this exactly where I want it, and then we can start building these mounts for it. All right, guys, we got that front crossbar bolted in there. And then we got our plate here. So if you see this line right there, I'm gonna bend that so that comes out up, down, and then straight back out to come on top of that bar right there. And then I'll weld this to that. So my first time actually using this press brake. So let's see if it works. Hopefully we'll do the trick. Look at that beautiful bend, guys. That press brake does work pretty good. So let's get that back up in there, make sure everything fits, and then the front mount should be good. We'll just have to make the drop downs for the rear mount, and I'm just gonna weld a bar right across this whole back piece and then just mount up to the frame. Alright guys, so I made a plate here. I bolted it through the stock factory bolt that went for that little skid plate type of deal from the factory, and then I added these riv nuts. So I gotta drill that hole out, bolt that on like that, and then I'm going to take some, probably the same 2-inch square tube, and just come down and weld it right to that plate. And I think we should be good. Also, yes, I did finally buy one of these riv nut tools. It's gonna be so much easier to obviously install riv nuts. So this one is, I just got it on Amazon, and it does 1/4 20, 5/16, 18, 3/8, 16, M6, M8, M10. You can see it came with a bunch of riv nuts as well. So that made it very easy. I was kind of struggling with my weak arm to get this thing compressed upside down underneath the truck, but we got them in there. So let's drill these plates out. Just these holes here, we got to drill those bigger for M10, and then we can bolt these on, cut up some of that square tube, and get this thing mounted up. All right guys, we got this whole mount tacked together. So we tacked the main plate here to the front of this front beam, and then these are the pieces I cut, kind of angled them in, and actually angled them forward too. That's going to help with if I do get some force, from the front pushing towards the back. I think that'll help keep everything nice and strong. So everything's tacked together. Let's unbolt it. We can fully weld it together, and we can throw it back on. All right, guys, I think I am happy with this thing. So what I did was I put some tube inside of here. I drilled all the way through, so I just put a long bolt through the whole thing, and I think that'll be stronger. Plus, I didn't want the inside open to the elements. I probably wouldn't be able to get paint all the way through the inside, so I'd probably start rusting out, and then I cap the ends, welded some gussets on there, welded some gussets on the back here. So that should help keep this thing nice and sturdy. So the next thing I want to tackle is pull this plow apart, because you can see all the bolts are very rusty. So I bought all new hardware for it, but I want to pull it all apart, get it painted. I bought a bunch of I just bought some tractor paint, so we'll go through, paint it. I got to fix those slides there. See that they're all bent, the brackets are bent. So fix the slides, pull it apart, all new hardware, get everything painted, paint this whole mount as well, and then we can put this thing completely together, get it on the truck, and figure out the winch system. Well, there it is, guys. We are finally done, mounted up. Everything looks really good. The mount fit great. All these bolts, the paint, everything looks so good. I don't know why, you guys might think I'm a little weird, but something about brand new bolts gets me so excited. I don't know, I'm honestly excited to go to the store to buy bolts. It's kind of weird, but either way, we are mounted up 100%. The last thing we got to do is figure out a winch, and that's going to be the next video. Figuring out how to mount up a winch somewhere up in this bumper. I might even build a bumper, I'm not sure yet. I got to tear this bumper off and see if there's even anywhere to mount an actual, you know, solid mounts for a good bumper. I don't really know how this one's mounted, so I don't think the frame comes up in this area at all, so it's probably mounted to the cab. But either way, we'll figure that out. We'll get a winch set up, and the winch just hooks up onto here, and that's what you use to raise and lower. And then obviously it's just a manual turn. But how my driveway's set up, I'm not really gonna need to angle the plow a whole lot, so I'm not too worried about it. The thought did cross my mind about putting a ram on it for a power or a hydraulic turn, but like I said, I probably won't need it that much, so I'm not too worried about that. Well, that's it, guys. Super excited about the plow. I think it turned out amazing. Very excited to figure out the winch system, get that mounted up, and get this thing 100% complete. Like I said in a couple of other videos, I do have a new set of heavier springs for the front to help with this plow, and it's also going to lift it a little bit more, so that's cool. And then I also got some DOT tires on the way too, so we do have a lot more to do to this thing. Definitely stay updated on the channel if you're interested in this build. Well, that's a wrap, guys. I really hope you enjoyed the video. Go smash that thumbs up button, comment, subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.